click here, you'll see more options like My Farm Builder, Charts and Reports. I'll show you the charts and reports real quick. It's nice. It shows you how well you utilize the application. As you can see, I don't utilize it very well. These 6 days were empty. Anyway, need to get on the ball. But anyway, it's pretty cool. It'll show you what percentage of reports you actually submit compared to how many farms were issued. Things like that. Your past 7 days, or sorry, 14 days of issued, number of reports, and hauls reported overall. We'll also have quick links up here to go between where you need to go. You're back to the dashboard. View your ally list. So this is going to show you all the tribes in the server. You can see, if you want, you can do this full list here. You can just simply go through and say NAP or ally, village exceptions. This is going to show you which ones you've added to your exception list. I do not want to farm these guys. This guy asked me to stop, things like that. Or you can actually type in the coordinates and hit add. It'll make sure you never farm those particular villages again. Your map, as you saw on the quick start guide, lets you also add exceptions via a GUI, a nice map interface. Templates is what we're going to go to. The majority of this video will be about. So let's go and go to templates. Again, the other way you can get here is by going to My Worlds and clicking on the Farm Builder. Alright, so I'm on World 70, as you can see, for demonstration purposes. On the bottom left, you'll see all the global templates that I have. So, basic wall breaker, click here. This one's set up to check for a wall. If the report is 16 hours or newer, since it was actually scouted, it will try to break that wall down. If the village you're attacking from has at least 22 axemen and enough rams down below to break the wall. So as long as it can break at one level, it will send rams. You can change the minimum down here if you want to. If you always have larger walls, to a higher number, and then save a copy off to your own templates and use that template as an override if you want. But this is a pretty good setup. That way, make sure that you have axes to defend, at least 22 axes to defend it with. Even though I have 25 here, it doesn't really make sense. But anyway, you have your axes to defend it with, and you have your rams required, of course, with a max of 219, because that's the max to break down walls with. Or if you have the pally weapon, of course, you can change those numbers for that if you want, if you always attack with it. And anyway, I move on. You got these spears and swords. This one's pretty interesting. I have it to where you have to have it max farm radius of 6 fields. It will not go farther than 6 fields. Minimum number of units to be sent are 4. So the cool thing about this is down below I have 2 spears and 2 swords. Well, that makes 4 obviously, but what if you only have 3 spears and 1 swordsman? Well, it'll still send this template because it's not required, and the minimum amount is not required. So send minimum if possible, but the minimum amount is not required. So, and also have keep ratio if possible. So if 2 and 2, well, if it needs to send 8 and 8, it'll send 8 and 8. But if you only have, again, say 16 and 4, it will still send off the 4 here and 12 here, or whatever it needs to pick up those resources, maybe 11. But anyway, it'll keep it balanced as much as possible if you have the keep ratio if possible. So if you have this set to 4 and 2 for the ratio if possible, it would always have twice as many spears as swords. Or of course you can have 3 and 2, which is a pretty good combination. Things like that. You just got to try it out on your world, see how it works, see if you commonly lose people at 3 and 2 for starting out worlds, etc. This is a good starting template, but really, I mean, you have the power to simply copy this off, and now it's in your listing of templates. So SP, SW farming. You can also rename this, of course, if you want to 2 or something. That way you know. That way you know this is your custom one or whatever. It's still going to have your name on it. It's going to say, user on the list up here, but you can put your own custom name as well and update it again. Or you can delete the templates, etc. Alright, so that's a spear. Axe is down here as well. As you can see, axes, cavalry, same thing. If you wanted to only farm with, say, a certain number of units, you have that ability as well. I'll show you the cool thing about cavalry. Cavalry, some are faster than others. Not a big difference. The haul is, of course, different. We take care of that for you. I have it set to where you have to have at least 7 cavalry, no matter what, always going out. Of course, for early world, you can save this to 3 and save a copy off. If you want to only have 3, you have that power. Anyway, this is 7. So light cavalry, mounted archers, and heavy cavalry all have a 1 on minimum to send. Basically, you put a number here, and that means that you want to use those units. This will not use spears or swords or axemen because we have nothing filled out for them at all. If you had required here and you had a minimum is at least 1, it would only send this template or use this template in the attack if you indeed did have at least 1 spear fighter, and it would send that spear fighter. But since this is a cavalry one, we have 1's a minimum for this. I don't have send men if possible. So it's going to go to, out of these 3 units, it's going to go to the slowest unit first and send enough units to fulfill whatever resources need to be picked up, or to fulfill the 7 here of the required. Whichever, if the 7 is required, it's going to send the 7. Even if it only takes 3 units to pick up the resources, it will still send the full 7. Alright, that's cavalry. The next one is, I mentioned the SP3 sword 2. This is how you would do that with the keep ratio. This one has it both required, where I do want to keep that ratio, and I want to require both the unit types to go, just to show you how it works. Spies, scout only mission, I require it as 1. You may be on some worlds where you require 5, so you want to save, put a 5 here, save a copy, put a 5 up here as well. Anyway, save a copy of, let's call it 5, hit save. Now it's going to save it to your custom templates, and then I'll show you how to save that to your overall defaults for all your villages here in a moment. Last but not least, almost second to last, is send all I got. This is a very good endgame template. As you see these filter. This is a very good endgame template. So I have it set for all scouts, all spears, all swords, all the units that can actually carry booty, all of them that possible, send them. This is good for endgame because you may have it to where you only farm once a day. The barbarian villages you attack may be stacked, may not be stacked, but more than likely you're going to have a lot of resources in it. So you want to get those resources. So you want to send everything you have. Now this is good because you might have one village as a defensive village, and you might have one village that's a offensive village. Well, you still might want to farm from those defensive villages, and that's your prerogative. You can create groups of offensive or defensive villages and just loop through the groups and send farms if you want. That way you don't have to ever farm for your defensive villages, or I can show you how to skip those too with the farm builder. But anyway, you have many ways that you can do this process. I also I have a minimum of 1,000 units to fulfill this template up top. That means that we'll not use this send all I got unless you have at least 1,000 units total. So that could be spread out through all of your units here in order to fulfill that. Scouting only, as I showed you before, it means it's only going to send scouts. And last but not least, as I said before, the skip village. This is a custom, or sorry, a special template. None of the information down below here matters. If you save a copy of this off and call it skip village, it's not going to do what it means or what you think it is. It's only because this one actually is called skip right here, and the key, only I can create these, and I've created it for you. So this allows you to not farm from that village for barbarians, for players, or overall for that village, or you can turn the system off altogether for certain things as well. I'll show you how to do that. So anyway, this is how you build templates. You can build your own custom ones by clicking add new, modify, save a copy as your own. Many ways to do it. Very powerful. Anyway, I don't want to create a new one. I want to show you how to change the ordering. So here's where you change the overall defaults for your village, how you attack from players when you attack player villages or when you attack barbarian villages. So if you only attack barb villages, you only need to worry about modifying the right hand side here, and that's fine. So as you can see, when I attack a barbarian village, these are the 4 templates used. You can use all, you can have 10 or 100 templates in this list if you want. I think I actually maxed you out at 10 initially. So you have up to 10 templates you can use, sorry. You can modify your list here by clicking it. This would be a lot easier if it's drag and drop from a list, but I want this to be mobile compliant as well, so you can do it from your cell phones or from an iPad, so I just did the old school select list. Anyway, if you wanted to attack barbarian villages, say for example, you only wanted to send calves. That doesn't make a lot of sense, but say you only wanted to send calves, you would just empty these out and hit save. So now it's going to only send calves. So as you see here, it's going to refresh. Now it's only going to send calves to the barbarian villages. Your player villages will still go the normal route, but say, you know what, these are player villages, I don't want to attack with swords and spears, that doesn't make any sense, of course. You can just empty that one out. You don't have to move these all up. Just hit update. It will take that into account, and then now you have only these 3 that are being used, and that's a pretty good setup actually right there. To make it even better, if you want, you to add walls in here. So unfortunately, there's really no way right now to move these down. If I get a lot of feedback where people need that feature, I'll definitely build it in. But just for simplicity's sake, I didn't do that. The basic wall breaker, add it back in, save. All right. Wall breaker is back. So these are the defaults now. Barb is Cav, and players are the full list. So if you may want to add spies to that too, of course. But anyway, this is all customizable for your account. Down below, you'll have a list of villages. If you have 100 villages or 3 or 5, it'll have a row here for all your villages. Then you can actually click to set overrides per village. So say from this village, you never want to attack with your spears and swords. That just doesn't make sense, no matter what it is. You can set here to be Cav only as well, or any template only, or even a skip. You can say, you know what, I never want to attack player villages from this base because it's defensive village only. It doesn't make any sense. I wouldn't attack players, so you just set to skip for the player side, and that's fine. So that means whenever you attack from this village, if it comes across a player in the queue to attack, it will not do it. And then of course you can do overrides for your village only here as well. So that's for your default, your global default settings. So anytime you attack from the script, it's going to use this unless you have overrides. Now I'm going to show you how to do overrides using the Farm Attack Builder. Very powerful. You click on Farm Attack Builder. This is the bread and butter. This is really the engine that drives everything. This is what filters out your list of villages to attack. So it's a very important part of the process. This is what I was telling you about before in the quick guide, that you really need to confirm your account so you can use this feature. Alright, so your first option is do you want to attack barbarians only, players only, or both? I'm going to do both. You can do your min and max filtering on barbarian villages and player villages. Players, I'm early game, I don't want to attack anything larger than 50. Tribe max points. So say you don't want to attack any players of tribes that are in large tribes because they might fight back. And we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to change this to a max of 1,000 because I'm early game. This way I will not attack anybody in a tribe with at least 1,000 points. The next filter is the max distance, the max number of fields. So this is, I have set to 15. That means I won't do any farming whatsoever. Even if my templates say I can go out to 100, this actually creates your list of villages, so it will not go out farther than 15. That's fine. Haul multiplier. This is a key component to the farming process. So say you farm and your hauls are always full, and you always leave a lot of resources back, and it's horrible. You don't want that to happen. So you could slowly up this, or even largely up it if you want. So 0.75 means if that village creates, say, 1,000 resources per hour, you're going to send enough troops to pull at least 75% of those resources, so 750. And that's done, of course, on a village by village basis based off of what that village produces. The next one is a little complex, pretty cool. Based off of how old your scouting reports are, it will or will not use the number of resources left in the warehouses of that barbarian village. So even though that barbarian village might only produce 1,000 resources per hour, it could have stocked up 100,000 resources because people haven't been farming it, maybe middle to end game, and nobody's farming it, but it has a lot queued up. Well, what this does, it says, you know what, go after all the resources in that warehouse if the scouting report is 720 minutes or newer. Now that's a long time. That's 12 hours. You may not want to have that laying around for 12 hours because in 12 hours a lot of things can happen. This is the default value, so it's important to confirm your account so you can change this to whatever applies to you. If you have a lot of people around you, you may want to set this to 2 hours or 30 minutes. It just depends on your situation. I'll leave it at 30 for now. Queue restart time. This is how often do you want to be able to farm the same village again. So say you want to be able to rebuild your farm queue every 30 minutes. That means every 30 minutes, whether or not you've sent out farm for your whole entire queue or not, it's going to rebuild your queue that you're attacking from. So you start farming, 30 minutes later, if you're still farming, it's going to rebuild your queue for you on that next hit after 30 minutes, and you will start back over. The cool thing about that is if you use your haul multiplier at 0.50, and you have it set to 30 minutes anyway, and nobody else is farming in the area, you are doing optimal farming if you continuously farm and don't have a life. Anyway, last but not least is your farming templates. So default are the ones we just set on the previous page. You see it's wall, axis, calves, and spies for player villages, and barbarian villages of calves. So if you want, though, you can actually override that. You can change the information here. You can actually just use the the keys on the left for all these if you want to hand type them in, if you are really good at that. So you can skip all player villages even though you have player and barbarian. So you can skip them if you have them both set above. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that obviously if you have them both set, so I'm not going to do that. But you could say I only want to farm axes, and you can use a comma, semicolon, or a pipe, whatever you're comfortable with here. Axes first, and then that's it. And maybe spy them afterwards. And you can do that, copy and paste, do that for both. Or if you actually want to be lazy and make sure you don't fat finger it, you could go through here and say, you know what, send spears and axes first, then do cavalry, my own custom cavalry farming, set overrides. So what that means is for this particular farm attack, which you're going to bind to a button up here, I'll show you how to do that like you did before in the quick start video. You can actually have a custom set of templates for that one button. Then you can hit generate, and now you have the code for Opera here and for Firefox and Chrome down below. So I'm going to copy that. Then you just go up top and you can add a page. You can call it whatever you want. This is going to be TW farm custom 1, whatever you want to call it. Go to the URL, delete that, or just paste and override it, hit enter, and now you have your custom button up here that does the custom settings as you saw below on the pop-up. Anyway, the cool thing is now you have your settings here. You don't want to refresh the page or leave it because this allows you to create additional buttons if you want to have, say you want to have a button just for spies. You can just go through here and do spy, hit generate, and now it has a code down here just to send spies out. So then you can create another button up top, call it TW Farm Spies or TW Spies, whatever, and that one will just send spies out using all these filter settings. So it's very powerful. You can use different templates per buttons. You can extend this thing very high complexity, or of course you can just leave it out of the box and you'll do just fine as well. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment or a question below the video, or email me at twprofarmer@gmail.com. Thanks for watching and have a good night.